What is up and welcome back to Talking Nutrition. Today is a very special episode. It is episode 200, which is nuts if you think about it. Because if you would have asked me 5 years ago when I just started coaching, and especially before then, will you ever speak in front of a camera? Will you ever speak in front of people doing presentations, seminars, right? Will you ever do a podcast? I would have told you, hell no. Like, that's not me. I'm not outgoing. I'm not a good educator. I'm not entertaining enough. But you know what? I still did it. And why did I do it? Well, I kind of knew I should have, already earlier, to be honest with you. But I was too scared. And my mentor at the time, Cody McBroom, he actually got me to start writing blogs, reach out to gyms, start doing presentations, start doing the podcast. I started together with my good friend, Christine Andali. She hasn't been on a podcast for a while, right? So I've been soloing it for the last couple of years. But look, this is just to show you that imperfect action will always improve you. Because do I feel like I'm the best podcaster? Absolutely not. Will I still show up for you to help you? Fuck yeah. It's my responsibility, you know what I mean? Because I am very grateful that my job allows by now hundreds of people to live healthy. And we continue to expand. We continue to serve more people. And we're now diving further into gut health. We're diving further into hormones, physiology, and labs, because we do need to look deeper, right? And I have a great client case to kind of share with you today, because as you see from the title, right, can you lose weight by eating more? Before we jump in, I just wanted to thank you for being here, because look, I know we haven't done a lot of episodes recently, but we are back, and I made a promise to myself to pick it up again. And even if it's just a shorter episode, still have something for you to take away every single week. Little nugget of application, just making sure that we keep it actionable. And of course, if you ever need more help, you can always reach out via the link in the show notes for a free consultation. We still do them. And if you're listening like, I actually need more help, I can't figure this out by myself, feel free to reach out, right? I'm not the most salesy person, right? I'm not a pushy person. I'm like, hey, look, I can help you. I know I can help you. And if you're willing to receive help, then let's fucking go. But I'm also very picky when it comes to, well, not picky, but particular with the clients I coach, right? Because I want to make sure this is a good fit for you. I want to make sure that you and me connect and vibe, let's say, and we'll be able to work together. Because I'll tell you this, I only work a minimum of 6 months with my clients because I know this stuff takes time. And we'll expand on this more. So if you're new here, though, welcome to the podcast. If this is your very first episode, I'm stoked to have you. And I'm definitely going to recommend you to go through some of the more recent episodes with our guests, right? Scroll through Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening, maybe YouTube. Just check out a few episodes. And feel free to always DM me on Instagram. The link is also in the show notes. Because look, I'm never just going to tell you, hey, buy my coaching. That's not the first thing you're going to hear from me. The first thing is going to be, how can I help you? What are you working on right now? Like, what are your goals? Like, let me understand your goals and let me help you figure out how to move forward. And that's what this podcast was created for, to educate you on nutrition, to help you build healthy habits, good routines, and do something else than just the move more and eat less and all the cardio and the crazy diets. Because look, I have calls with people every single week. I'm very active in my DMs on Instagram, and I see a lot of very common struggles. I see a lot of people deal with a lot of shit, let's say, and they are stuck. And the story, unfortunately, goes, for most people, I've tried all these different diets, my weight's not moving. My doctor doesn't know what's up. I feel like crap. I'm showing menopausal symptoms in my 30s. They don't know how to get healthy. And luckily, if we connect, we get them to a better place. I just posted a bit of a rant also on my Instagram stories at the time of this recording. So by the time this episode goes live, you're not going to be able to see it. But I reviewed someone's labs, and it was pretty clear to me like what was up. This is a different, person, but still. And I started getting a little bit more context around this person. I'm like, we're not focusing on the right things. In her case, for example, we saw that stored iron was low, calcium was high, CRP, which is an inflammatory marker, was high. Her HbA1c was high, which is long-term blood sugars. Her weight was not moving, and her sex hormones were in the tank, in the luteal phase, meaning at that point where progesterone is supposed to be at its highest, it was super low. And estrogen, by the way, too, which is supposed to be lower than progesterone at that stage of the cycle, was also in the tank. The only recommendations she got was anything from supplements to peptides to medications to mask the hot flashes and other menopausal symptoms. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, obviously I'm not a magician. Like, I can't assume, and I will not assume without testing. But with the testing I looked at and just a bit of context, I'm like, I think I at least know which most important factors we want to cover first before anything else. Oh, by the way, her vitamin D was low as well. Now, for example, right, I want to look at these things, and yes, her sex hormones were in the tank, but these are symptoms. These are not the root cause. So why might that be the case? Calcium being high, I just got a question on Instagram too, so I wanted to bring it up here as well. So her calcium was high, but her vitamin D levels were pretty much low. I mean, they were 2 points from being out of the range. So her doctor said, no, it looks normal. Whenever I hear a client say, hey, my doctor said that it looks normal, I'm like, hey, let's look at it. Because her vitamin D was, yes, within range, but only a 2-point difference from being too low. So for sure, suboptimal, right? Now, understanding that vitamin D is very important for calcium absorption, this may be potentially, I don't know, but it may be one of the factors playing into her blood calcium being higher, right? Could be. And I'm just checking the boxes. But either way, vitamin D was low. And we know that's super, super key for overall health. So we want to bring it up, especially bone health too, right? You want to take the D3 with K2 because the K2, vitamin K2, is going to make sure the calcium goes to, hair, teeth, bones. And you also want to have enough magnesium throughout the day. I'm a big fan of magnesium glycinate in the evening, also supports sleep, calming effect on the body. And it's also a common mineral that's deficient in many people. But as I'm starting to look at this, I'm like, I think she's either been dieting too much over the years. Stress is likely high, which, by the way, this is not my client. Like, this is someone I was talking to on Instagram, and she actually sent me her labs because she's like, my doctor doesn't know. So I was like, hey, you know what? Like, let me have a look. I can help you out here. Or at least I can look at it for you, right? I didn't make any recommendations. This is not my client. So I'm not going to be saying, hey, do this, do this, do this. But I'm asking questions. So I asked her, hey, what's your sleep like? What is your vitamin D intake? Like, are you taking any vitamin D? Are you supplementing with any magnesium? Because that didn't show, right, on the labs either. Stress levels. Have you been trying to diet a lot? Because she told me my weight's not budging. So I want to know, hey, how much have we been trying to push those calories down? How low, maybe? I want to know what's lacking from her diet. So this is someone where I would, like, let's say we were to start, I would say, you know what? We're going to start with a little bit less training, no high intensity, no running. We're going to lift weights, a couple reps in reserve. We're going to have more rest days. We're going to do some more low intensity walking. We're going to manage stress. We're going to bring food as high as we can get it. We're going to include Mediterranean style eating, right? So anti-inflammatory diet, a lot of healthy foods, easy to digest. I also asked her, what about digestion? Because there are some things here, also with the iron, for example, right? You may have a decent iron intake, but stored iron was low. So I'm also thinking here, okay, maybe there's a malabsorption issue, you see? So really I want to start to pinpoint where the issue might be. But we know there's inflammation going on because their CRP was high. And that's one of the main inflammatory markers. So we know there's some inflammation, and that can have to, that can be one of the root causes really of anything from sex hormones to other things being off, right? And we want to try and figure out where that is. What's the real problem? But I want to always start with food and lifestyle. Before we jump into this episode, I know you're back. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, right? And if you're a new listener, stoked to have you. I'm just one person doing this. We don't do any promos on this podcast. I'm going to ask you for one quick little favor, and that would be to leave a 5-star rating on Google or Apple. It would really help us just reach more people. That's the only reason. Because when we get more reviews, it'll show up for more people. We know, I can guarantee, I'm going to assume at least, which I don't love doing, but I'm going to assume here that you know other people who also struggle with their health or weight or both. So if you want to pay it forward and make a positive impact on someone else's life, share the podcast with them if you want to, or at least drop a quick review. That's the quickest. It takes a few seconds. You can literally do it right on in Spotify. You're listening already, right? Go ahead, click, boom, rate 5 stars. Really helps us out. That's the only ask I'm going to make today. Can you lose weight by eating more? This is something I want to explain because, first of all, yes, you could, but there's no magic to this, right? I also want you to understand here that the goal of eating more is not to make you lose weight, not in the short term at least. So why do so many of my clients, when they start coaching with me, actually go through that process of eating more? I'm going to share a client story with you. My client, Suneva, she started with me in June. Struggled with her weight for a long time. She had tried a lot of different diets. She was training already, which is awesome, but a lot of different diets. She was also diagnosed with insulin-resistant PCOS, and weight wasn't moving at all, no matter what she was doing. She was on low calories. We'll get to that in a sec. She also tried weight loss medications. Didn't work. So we want to start looking at, okay, so where are we currently at? So as we're talking about eating more in this podcast, and can you lose weight by eating more, etc., I also want to explain the OCS process. The OCS process is my framework for my clients that everyone goes through to get you long-term results. Like I said before, we work with the clients at a 6-month minimum, and that's for a reason. If you've been stuck for years, first of all, 6 months is not that long. And most of my clients stay on longer, kind of depending on goals. Just an average of just about 12 months plus, 12, 13. The first phase in the OCS process, the O, stands for optimizing your routines and health. What I want to do is first of all, look at where are you currently at? Like, what are you eating? How much are you eating? What about sleep, stress, exercise, steps? I want to know everything. I want to know the things you struggle with, relationship with food, relationship with other people. I invest a lot of time into my clients and I want to really know what's going on in their lives so I can help them, right? The O in the OCS process, optimizing your routines and your health, is the starting point. We need a foundation. We build that foundation by looking at what you're currently doing. So my clients do a food diary the first week. So I can see and pinpoint, hey, this is the most important thing, at least food-wise, right? Based on the food diary, what needs work. Then we're going to build a foundation of healthy habits, routines that will not only fuel your body, nourish your body, and just optimize anything from metabolism to hormones, etc. It'll get you also, by the way, feeling good, finally. Because think about this, right? If you're listening, your energy probably sucks. Energy crashes in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe you're constipated. You can't go to the bathroom at least daily, which, by the way, that's a red flag. Bloat, gas, you name it. Hunger, cravings. I want to know exactly what you're feeling too, because here's the thing. Once we now know, let's work on that first, because this phase could take a few weeks for some people and a few months for other people. But we first want to understand where you're at so that we can then start to make changes, build habits that are missing, build new healthy habits, fueling you up, making sure you're not struggling with hunger or energy or, anything like that. Low sex drive, maybe, right? Routines, so you can stick with the plan, because that's the most important thing. Like, there's a lot of 12-week programs out there where you'll get your meal and training plan right off the bat, like on day one, which that's the same program everyone else gets. But what about the actual coaching here? What about the actual, looking at your real lifestyle and thinking, okay, what needs work here? Okay, so you did not manage to follow the plan. Why not? Can we look at those things? So we're going to troubleshoot. We're going to work together. Going back to my client, she came in at 1,000 calories. Some days were actually 800 calories. But the average for that first week, 1,000 calories. And we did a coaching call. I explained to her, look, right now, your body is not in a state to respond. You're supposed to roughly maintain your weight around 2,500 calories based on height, weight, and those things. But right now, you're eating 800 to 1,000 calories and your weight's not moving at all. And if it's really not moving and you're really eating this, so I asked her to, double checking. I'm not judging, but is this accurately tracked? She's like, yes. If that's really the case, we have to go up first to restore the metabolism. I explained how the metabolism slows down, and this is going to affect things like hormones, right? The metabolism isn't just burning calories. Yeah, that's the effect really of everything working well, but thyroid, right? So that's your metabolism command center in your throat. Thyroid hormone acts on every cell in your body. So you can only imagine if the thyroid is not functioning well, what kind of an effect that it's going to have on everything else in your body. Hormones, gut, liver, kidneys, right? So I told her we need to get you healthy first. He also was diagnosed with insulin-resistant PCOS, so we need to support insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity, you should really say. Inflammation, we had a lot of work to do, or at least in terms of healing the body, and that's going to take time. Because if you're on low calories for such a long time, your body is not going to respond. No matter how bad you want to lose weight. I told her to, look, if we could, I would have had you diet right away of the first month, but the body's not responding. We can't do it right now. So we took her from 1,000 calories to 1,400 to 1,600 to 17, 18, 19, 20, 2,000. We are now at 2,400 calories, which is crazy if you think about it, right? 2,400 calories. She is eating 1,400 extra calories. Every single week, we've brought up food just a little. Sometimes I'll go fast, right? Sometimes, and when I say a little, to be honest with you, we did 100 calories almost every week. But we want to take our time here because the body needs some time to adapt. The metabolism will slow down, like I just said, but it can also speed up. That slow down process is natural, is normal, it's supposed to happen. And you can reverse that, but you can't reverse it by dieting harder. You have to bring calories up. You have to fuel and nourish your body. So that's what we did. Like I said, all the way from 1,000 calories up to 2,400 calories now. For the first month or 2, 3, let's say 2, weight didn't change at all. But I told her, hey, this is a positive. As much as this is basically where you're supposed to lose weight, because if your maintenance is expected to be around 2,500, you should be able to lose weight at 2,000 calories, to be honest with you, right? Wasn't the case, so it wasn't moving. And every single week I told her, you're killing it right now, right? We tweaked things, we worked on things, but I was like, look, your weight's stable, this is good. Food is going up, but your weight's stable, this is good. Now, guess what started happening last month? Because she started with me at 112 kilos. Guess what started happening? All of a sudden, above 2,000 calories, her weight went from 112 to 111, 10, 109. And she's now at just about 109.4 kilos. So 112 kilos down to 109.4. So that's a 2.3% drop, right? Just by eating more. So can you lose weight by eating more? Yes. I have it here right in front of me. I'm looking at the graph right now. You can. Has this been the goal? No, this has not been the goal. The goal is not to lose weight when we're trying to heal the body. The goal is to get calories high. The goal is to get to actual true maintenance. The goal is to fuel and nourish and get you feeling good. I got a message from her, actually. I want to pull it up because I want to directly quote her, because I want you to know I'm also not making this shit up, right? So let me see real quick. I got this screenshot here because I like to save my client wins, you know what I mean? Here we go. Oh, this is actually a fun fact. This is something I didn't mention before, and I should have in the intro. Her menstrual cycle was completely all over the place, right? Basically, like when she started, she said, my last cycle was like the 15th of June. Before that, it was like somewhere in March. And she told me that for 8 years or so, her cycle was completely irregular. And she actually said, like, it doesn't really concern me because I'm used to it. But I told her, look, that's fine, but it still means that the body is unhealthy. So we need to do something about this. This is a symptom that there's something not working the way it's supposed to. This week, I got a message from her, and I quote, noticing that clothes are feeling looser than before, mostly around the belly and waist area. In addition, my body feels lighter than 2 months ago. And the biggest change must be having a cycle the last 2 months in a row. You see? More proof that we are doing the right thing. More proof. Her metabolism has been picking up. Why do I know that? Well, she wasn't budging at 1,000 calories, but we kept bringing it up, kept bringing food up. And at some point, that metabolism will pick up. And your body will go, hey, actually, it's safe. We're getting enough food. We can start to expend energy again. We can upregulate all these processes. Now hormones are in a better place. Guess why she now has a more regular cycle the last 2 months in a row to where before this, so until June this year, for 8 years, her cycle was super irregular. Sometimes just not there at all. She has a monthly cycle now. Her weight's down by 2.5 kilos, right? Just about 2.3%. All we did was eat more. And of course, eat healthier and work on stress management. I told her, hey, let's keep the low intensity movement as a priority. I want to keep the body in rest and digest, right? That parasympathetic state as much as possible. And we recently did a call too, and I told her, look, this is actually looking really good. I'm stoked. We're almost there. We're almost at 2,500 calories. I want to keep pushing calories. But once we get there, we're going to hold. It is now November. We're almost there. December, we're going to stay there because obviously Christmas, and I want to also teach my clients, which by the way is part of this whole process. You're going to have, your birthdays, holidays, vacations, etc. coming up at some point, which is also why I'll tell people like, hey, look, yeah, you can wait until after Christmas, but what about next year? You're still not going to know how to manage Christmas. These are all part of the Odyssey, right? Your journey. The Odyssey includes new challenges and roadblocks, and maybe that's going to be something like Christmas. So we're going to keep her at maintenance, keep fueling and train to build muscle, not to burn fat, to build muscle. And then in January, we're going to push for fat loss. She's lost 2.3% in weight while eating 1,400 extra calories so far. We're actually going to add another 100. So can you lose weight by eating more? Yes, but that was never the goal. I did tell her, look, this may happen because if your body responds well, your metabolism is picking up. It might actually adapt on the way up a bit more than the increase in calories. And that's where we may see weight loss and fat loss. That's been the case. So she's noticing fat loss around her waist area. Clothing is fitting better. She's had a cycle for 2 months now. And I'm always even more excited when I do these kind of client journeys because it's even more impactful than just a number on the scale. This is about your real health, right? And this is where your PT might not understand physiology, which is another rant I just posted, to be honest with you, on Instagram. Because you can try the meal plans and the workout programs, but these are not created for people with hormonal issues, with thyroid conditions, with autoimmune conditions, with inflammation, your hormones being out of whack, a poor relationship with food, maybe with people dealing with stress and trauma. These plans could work if your body was metabolically healthy. And if that's not the case, then we need to go with a different approach. So far I've taken you through really in her case, the first phase of the OCS process, because we're still optimizing our health. We're still working to upregulate everything. The second phase, which is the C in the OCS process, creating your reality. This is where we're going to reach that goal. And I know because she has such a good foundation that she's going to kill it. We have the routines, we have the healthy habits. She's keeping at it, right? She's very coachable. She's very receptive to feedback. Sometimes I need to push her, sometimes I need to support her, but I know she's going to kill it in that fat loss phase. Like I know that's going to be great. So in January, it's time for her next phase. We're going to probably diet for just about 12 to 16 weeks, kind of depending on how the body responds. I still want to keep that in mind, how she feels, right? And the body responding, like I don't just mean like weight-wise, I also mean like anything from like digestion, mood, energy, etc. And this is where coaching comes in, right? Hunger. These are all things we need to track, which we do in our check-ins. But of course, you don't want to be dieting forever. And I already told her, hey, we're not going to be doing this more than 16 weeks. We're going to have to take a break. Because just how your body adapted on the way down because of all these diets in the past. You saw it yourself. 1,000 calories, your weight wasn't moving. I told her we need to do the same thing after that initial fat loss phase to go to maintenance and take a break. So what we're going to be doing is a 12 to 16 week diet, depending on her body responding. We're then going to do a reverse diet, which is really what we've been doing so far, right? So we're slowly going to increase calories. I will go a lot faster then compared to this process, or likely at least, where the initial step is always between where we enter fat loss phase and her expected maintenance. And then we're going to take it slow. And then we're going to chill at maintenance for a good 2 to 3 months. I want to push for 3+. And that brings us into summer, which is perfect because she's going to be done with the fat loss in the first quarter of the year, basically. The beginning of the second quarter is still going to be increasing calories. And then through summer, she's going to be able to maintain. And guess what? If she then wants to lose more fat, cool, we can then dive in. But you see, this is a big picture timeline. And you might listen to this and think, I don't want to wait that long to reach my goal. But guess what? If your body's not in a good state, like you have to, if you want this to last. And that brings us into the third and last phase of the OCS process, the S, sustaining your results, which, by the way, this is also created to be repeated, right? Because think about this, if you sustain your results for a long time and you have new goals to chase, we're still going to optimize your routines and lifestyle to then drive a certain result in the transformation phase, let's say, and then we're going to sustain that. So it's created for you to continue to repeat this through life so that you can always create more and better results and build on your results. But sustaining your results means feeding the body up. It means also stepping away from things like tracking, right? We need to break from that too. We're going to be a bit more flexible within reason. We're going to keep the habits up. And I want you to feel so confident in like, hey, I know what to do. I know I can follow these routines and just feel good, that you're like, hey, you know what? I can do this by myself. I don't need a coach. I don't need another diet. I don't need another supplement. I don't need another meal plan. I can do this. I have the habits. I got the results. I know exactly how to maintain them. That is my ultimate goal for you. That is my ultimate goal for my clients. And I will always tell them, look, I kind of joke about this too. I'm like, it's a funny business model, but I want to make sure I want to make sure you don't need me anymore, which is true. Because after that minimum of 6 months and sometimes a year or plus, the same thing goes for every single client I've ever had and ever will have. At some point, you're going to fly solo. So I want to prep you for that moment. And if you walk away from this program having followed every step I teach you, my suggestions, my recommendations, if you check in with me and you communicate with me, I can guarantee you results. That's how confident I am in this stuff. That's how confident I am in this OCS process that I've just shared with you. I know it works because it's worked for hundreds of people, hundreds of women in their 30s through 50s. I had a client, Donna. She reached her ultimate weight goal right before turning 60. These are all people who are normal, everyday, average people like you and me. They were stuck for years, sometimes decades, like my client Donna, for example. Multiple decades of diets and cardio and all this. We still get them healthy. And I know this is going to work for you too. And that's assuming that you are proactive and you communicate and you're showing up for your goals. Because that's the only thing I cannot guarantee is like, you're going to have to do the work. You know what I mean? But as a team, we can get you there. So I wanted to wrap it up for today because I want to stick with just about 30-minute episodes. And I hope this gives you a bit of an insight in, hey, why is my body not responding? And I'll tell you this too, not everyone has to go through this. I have many clients, the first 2 to 4 weeks, as we're bringing up calories, their weight's dropping crazy. Like, I'm like, you know what? We're slightly below expected maintenance. Your body's responding the way it's supposed to. We can push for fat loss. So you see, it's not the same process for everyone. It's truly tailored to you, to how your body responds, and to what I can tell from what your lifestyle needs. Right? Because another client of mine, Lacey, for example, she was also stuck for years and she's been dropping a pound a week for a while now. Like every single week, she's like, hey, 160, 159, etc. She's at 157 now. And she was also stuck. But for her, a lot of the beginning was less about the calories and more about sticking with a healthy eating plan with a busy schedule, you see? So that first phase looks different for everyone. But it could be a few weeks instead of multiple months. It really depends. So I also don't want you to feel discouraged listening to the podcast and thinking, oh shit, I'm going to have to eat more for half a year before I can lose fat. Not always. Usually not that long. But sometimes if you're truly stuck, your body's not in a good spot, there's a lot of inflammation, hormonal issues, and other conditions, yeah, we might have to, and that's okay. Because if you can reach that ultimate goal and you maintain that, it's worth the time, right? Thank you once again for listening. I'm stoked to have you back. If you haven't yet, do me a massive favor, drop me a quick rating on Spotify or Apple, and then we'll talk very soon. Cool?